Have you ever thought about how the world will end? I haven't, but I can't wait for it to happen. Anyway, today we're going to find out exactly how the world will end, according to infographics. Let's get into it.
The world will end someday. When you think of doomsday, you might think of a reckoning from a divine deity.
No.
Perhaps you imagine a flash of light that signals nuclear war.
That's the one.
You probably couldn't imagine some of the craziest ways the world could end. An experiment gone wrong, a change in the very state of the universe, or visitors from another planet. Let's explore the 12 most insane ways the world could end.
Alright, let's get into it.
Artificial intelligence, or death by Terminator. Sci-fi
I don't want that
TV
one.
shows are not the only
Don't want that
warnings
one.
of the dangers associated with artificial intelligence. Many scientists are also wary of
It's
the
gonna
potential
happen.
that
It could
AI
happen.
could have
It really
if
could.
unleashed on the world. It's estimated that by 2050, machines with artificial intelligence will be able to complete most tasks.
Look how
better than
jacked it
humans.
is while
The
hoovering.
most frightening part about
Jesus.
that is that humans are really good at destroying our planet and using up
Yeah,
natural resources.
that's true.
Most scientists who are nervous about AI and how it could end the world are less concerned about the machines taking over and becoming evil, and more concerned about how humans will use them.
Oh.
Artificial intelligence becomes smarter than the average human, and it falls into the wrong hands. There are countless ways it could end the world. All the
Really?
user would have to do is ask the AI to wipe out all life on the planet, and it would come up with a solution that we probably haven't thought of yet.
That's
Artificial
actually
intelligence could also
really
be
mad.
like the Terminator. If it becomes so advanced that it's self-aware, there's a possibility it might do whatever it can to survive. And
Yeah, this
reproduce.
is the
Since
one that we
humans
all
would
need to worry
initially
about.
Program the AI, and we're the result of billions of years of evolution
Yeah.
that has programmed us to survive and reproduce. It's likely that these same instructions would somehow find their way into the AI's code. It's not out of the realm of possibility that an artificially intelligent machine becomes aware of how badly we're messing up the planet and decides to stop us, since Earth would be its home too. So perhaps the human species will end with artificial intelligence. But there's a good chance that the rest of the living things on the planet will live in a better world if an AI takes over.
I mean, then he's not wrong. It probably would be a better world for all the other animals and things, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. Less pollution, less noise. Yeah, probably.
One tool an AI might have at its disposal to end the world is this next item on our list. Number 11, destruction by nanotech bots. Nanotechnology is amazing. In the not-too-distant past, computers took up entire rooms within warehouses
Yeah,
to
a bit
generate
wild,
what's now
really, isn't it?
considered an extremely small amount of computational power. Now we have computers in the palms of our hands.
Yes,
and
we do.
microchips that are becoming more powerful while also becoming smaller. But all this is nothing compared to the future of nanotechnology.
Well, let
It's
me know.
theorized that in the next few decades, we'll build microscopic robots that can perform different functions and even replicate themselves. You can probably see the pros and cons.
Isn't this
of
like
this
AI again, though? If it's micro, it'll be
terrifying
in us,
thing is
control
that
than
if
us.
a flaw develops in the nanobots and they begin duplicating out of control, there is very little we'd be able to do about it.
Oh, fantastic.
Containing a nanotech bot problem, if it ever did arise, would be nearly impossible. Imagine nanotechnology that malfunctioned and began releasing toxic chemicals into a host as it replicated. It would be so small that it could easily infiltrate into any living thing on the planet and fill it with their toxins.
Right,
This could lead to
so-
the mass extinction of all species on Earth as the nanobots
Well, that's
move
worse
around
than the first
planet
one,
on
then.
wind currents and within humans as they travel around the world. Hypothetically, the nanobots could be wiped out by a large EMP, but that would also fry every other electronic on the planet. Nanotechnology is the way of the future, as microscopic bots could help doctors perform internal surgeries without cutting a patient open.
Right,
or allow
okay.
Scientists to clean up oil spills and help combat pollution. However, if something goes wrong, things would go from bad to worse in the blink of an eye. Hopefully, a kill switch will be implemented in every nanobot that's ever made.
That's actually a good
It's not
idea.
guarantee. Without a safety net, nanobots could spread across the world like wildfire, which could be a huge problem if they're malfunctioning and killing every living thing in their path.
Right, so far we've had two things. Both of them are caused by us. Both of them are things that are meant to make our lives better. And they've ended the world. Fantastic.
Like with nanobots, the next scenario might have started with good intentions, but it could end with the planet's destruction. Number 10. Solar geoengineering and messing with a delicate balance.
It's us again.
We know
It's us
that
again.
climate change is a
Fantastic.
problem. The effects it's having on our planet are undeniable, and soon it'll be too late. Or will it? Some scientists believe that the effects of climate change could be reversed by using a technology known as solar geoengineering. However,
okay.
there are some real dangers and world-ending consequences that solar geoengineering could have.
When is
The
there not?
idea behind
When is
solar
there not?
geoengineering is that particles can be put into our atmosphere to reflect sunlight back into space before it reaches the Earth's surface.
Alright,
This
okay.
would counteract the greenhouse effect, which traps some of the sun's radiation between our atmosphere and the Earth, leading to the planet warming up. The problem is that there is a fine balance happening in
Oh,
our
I
atmosphere
suppose
that keeps
everything
our
gets
planet's
used to it, doesn't
temperature
it?
just right for liquid water to be plentiful and life to thrive. If
So what
solar
happens if it got too
geoengineering
cold?
throws off this balance, it would have dire consequences.
God.
Imagine if the solar geoengineers miscalculated and put too many sun-reflecting particles into our atmosphere. The planet's temperature would plummet, and Earth would become a giant ice ball. Another option for geoengineers is to remove carbon dioxide directly from the atmosphere, which would also slow down global warming and might be slightly safer. Then again, that same cooling problem would occur if too much carbon dioxide was removed from the atmosphere. Other concerns about
it's also
geoengineering
complicated.
arise because we just don't know how modifying our atmosphere will affect other aspects of the planet, like local ecologies and weather patterns. Deploying particles into the atmosphere or removing CO2 could shift the heat distribution of the sun and throw our planet's whole weather system into chaos. We could experience massive tornadoes.
Can we have
in the
some
middle of cities,
sunshine
or
in the
snow
UK,
winds.
please?
These isolated
Sunshine in
changes
the UK?
could lead
Anyone?
to global
Anyone?
catastrophes and the end of the world. But to be fair, we're doing a pretty good job of destroying the planet without the help of solar geoengineering, as shown by
Humans number
9
one.
on our list.
Oh.
Number 9. Catastrophic climate change.
Oh,
Climate
okay.
change is an
Interesting.
insane way for the world to end because it could have been easily prevented. We've known for decades that burning fossil fuels and spewing pollution into our atmosphere would one day have dire consequences, and that day has come. However, things will get so
we'll be
much worse
alright.
if we carry
We'll
on
be
doing business as
fine.
usual.
We'll be
And this is
fine.
the crazy part.
Just me.
As of right now, it looks like humans are still not taking climate change seriously.
I don't know what
And
you're talking
therefore,
about.
this very well might be what causes the world to end. In the
Well, I
not too
mean,
distant future, we'll see the already intensifying.
We had a
storms
little
of weather
break
due
during
to climate
COVID
change
where
become
factories
even
stopped and
worse.
stuff.
Huge
Mine
hurricanes
didn't,
will
but there you
wipe
go.
out entire coastlines. Islands will become submerged under rising sea levels, and droughts will squeeze away every ounce of fresh water from once fertile lands. The planet we see today will seem like an alien one to humans of the future. The unequal distribution of vital resources such as fresh water and food will become more and more prominent.
Oh,
This
fantastic.
will lead to wars and death across the planet as people fight to survive. As temperature increases, entire ecosystems will collapse or vanish entirely. There's no stopping climate change
Fantastic.
unless we take drastic
Well,
action
it is
and
what it is,
control
isn't it?
our overconsumption of resources and burning of fossil
Can I
fuels.
live on
In
the
an
the
absolute
under part
worst-case
there?
scenario, humans could put
Right.
enough carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor into the atmosphere to cause a runaway greenhouse effect. The world would likely end long before this happens, but if enough greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere, our planet could become very similar to Venus.
Jesus.
Temperatures could reach as high as 900 degrees on the surface, which would turn the Earth into an inhospitable rock. And
Nope.
as you're about to find out, climate
Well,
change is
very
the only thing
obviously.
that could disrupt our atmosphere.
9 degrees?
Number 8. High energy gamma ray burst.
Jesus.
There is good news and bad news about
Yeah, all
gamma
the
ray
time, wouldn't
bursts. The good news is that although they occur around once a day in our universe, most are happening in distant galaxies. The bad news is they do happen in the Milky Way, and if a gamma ray burst ever hit Earth,
Of course
it
they
would
do.
obliterate our atmosphere and kill everything on the planet. Scientists believe a gamma ray burst happens when a massive star, many times the size of our sun,
Thank God.
runs out of fuel and collapses in on itself, forming a black hole.
Okay.
Another possibility is that when two already collapsed stars orbiting each other merge, they release a gamma ray burst. During this process, an enormous amount of energy is released. A gamma ray burst is estimated to be 10 quadrillion times more energetic than the energy generated by our sun.
Oh.
In this scenario, the gamma
Oh, no.
ray burst would pass through space at the speed of light. When it hits the Earth's atmosphere, the planet would immediately begin to boil as nitrogen oxides form, and the ozone layer would be destroyed. If the gamma rays didn't already kill everything on the planet, the radiation from the sun would. Without the protective layers of our atmosphere, Earth's water would evaporate into space, and all living things would die from being cooked alive. However, a gamma ray burst is nothing compared to what would happen if the laws of physics changed.
That was mad, though. Because that could happen at any point. And we wouldn't know, and we just wouldn't know. By the time like it's hit us, we'd be dead. Or we'd never know what happened. Oh, that's wild. Oh, that's wild. And I've got a new fear. I've got a new phobia unlocked. Fantastic. Great video. The collapse of the vacuum. Oh, for God's sakes.
Number 7.
See how this gets
Collapse
better.
of the vacuum. One of the scariest end-of-world scenarios comes from a fundamental change to our entire universe. It's believed by some scientists that the early universe was empty space full of some form of energy. This is known as a false vacuum and was not a stable state for the universe to be in. For some unknown reason, a new kind of vacuum appeared and quickly swept through the universe, changing its composition.
Well, that's alright then, isn't it?
Released an enormous amount of energy and caused the expansion of the cosmos. The vacuum that resulted from this event is the one that exists today. However, this does not mean that it's the most stable kind of vacuum. If for some reason a new vacuum that was more stable than the current one, it would fundamentally change everything throughout the universe. In this scenario,
would I be more successful? Would my videos get more views? Is that what it would change? That's what we need.
Changing the laws of physics as they went. When this new vacuum reached Earth, it would tear the planet apart atom by atom. The end of the world by the collapse of the vacuum would be instantaneous, and
Never mind
there's
then.
no way to know what would result from the change.
I guess I wouldn't get more views.
Physicists are concerned that this rewriting of the fabric of space is highly unlikely, but since it has happened in the past, it could happen again in the future. The scariest way the world could end comes from a phenomenon that we cannot directly see. Number 6, death by black hole. Through advances in telescope technology and our knowledge of the universe, we now know that black holes not only exist, but are much more common than we once believed.
Wasn't there talk of one being one at the end of the Milky Way?
Black holes. Some scientists believe there could be as many as 10 million unknown
our solar system. What's our solar
traveling
system
around
called?
the galaxy. It's highly unlikely that
Milky Way,
one
right?
of these monsters will pass through our solar system, but it's not impossible. If a black hole was headed toward Earth, we would know about it before it got here, but there would be nothing we could do to stop it.
Well, that's
we
great.
wouldn't be able to directly observe the black hole, as light can't escape its grasp, but its effects would definitely be noticeable as it approached our planet. The
So we
first
just
indication
accept it
that
then?
something was wrong would be that the orbits of the outer planets in our solar system would start to change. These planets would be pulled away from the sun and toward the approaching black hole. Then
Phenomenal.
anything
Wonder
in
what
the
happens,
black hole's
though.
path would disappear into its singularity. Even if the black hole didn't pass directly through our solar system, it would still throw all the planets off their orbits. This would be enough to eject Earth into deep space, where we would all freeze to death without the energy and heat of our sun. On the other hand, if Earth was directly in the path of the black hole, everyone and everything on the planet would begin to feel its gravitational pull as the black hole approached. The side of the planet that was closest to the black hole would stretch as it was pulled into the black hole's gravity well.
Would I get taller?
The entire planet would eventually
I was like on
become
the side.
spaghettified, as the gravity on one side would be much more intense than the gravity on the other. Earth would be consumed by the black hole and crushed by its gravity. No one knows what happens inside the black hole, but it's highly probable that the world would be destroyed.
Yeah,
5,
if it's like that, then we'll never know.
Although the prospect of aliens being among us is tantalizing, it's also terrifying. The universe is
there's gotta be,
in our
right? There's
galaxy
got
alone,
to be.
There are an estimated 100 billion
There's
planets.
got to be.
Obviously, not every one of them can support life, as exemplified by our own solar system. However, even if 1/100% of planets have life, that is still 1 billion inhabited planets right here in the Milky Way.
Oh,
Currently,
that's
we
our
have
galaxy,
no
the Milky
idea
Way, isn't it?
how
What's
many
our solar
planets
system
have
got? Is it
life,
just solar
but
system?
To think that Earth is
that
the
all it
only
is? I
one
thought it had a
would be
name.
insane. Many scientists believe that if aliens do come to Earth, they will have ill intentions. They might see our planet as a place to gather resources such as water and oxygen. The aliens
Fantastic.
will have technology that is infinitely more advanced than ours, since they just traveled across the cosmos to get to Earth.
True,
If they wanted to strip our planet of its resources, there would be very little we could do to stop them.
Yeah, unless Will Smith
The
decides
concept
to
is
do what he did to Chris Rock and
it's
slap
that
him
the
like he did in
aliens
Independence
themselves
Day.
might not be the ones who wipe us out, but the pathogens they carry will instead do the work for them. Nothing on our planet will have natural immunity to alien diseases, which would probably lead to extinction of much of the life on Earth.
Isn't that what like happened with the Spanish going to South America and things like that? Didn't they take, or was it like the Europeans basically? They took something, didn't they? I can't remember what it was. There was some disease they took over there, and it just it killed a lot of people. What disease? It'll come back to me later. But to be fair, one thing I've always said is there could be aliens out there, but somehow it sounds ridiculous. We could be the most advanced. Think about that. We actually could. That's why we haven't seen anything. Because we actually just might be the most advanced. We might be looking at a planet. You know, like where you see in space, you see like years in the past. We might be looking at a planet that's 1 million years in the past. It might literally have gotten life in that last 1,000,000 years, but it's very, it's not there yet. It's not ready. It's like how life on Earth started. But you never know. There could be aliens out there ahead of us. There could be nothing, and there could be equal. I don't know where I'm going with this, but there you go. That's my spiel for the day. Let's get back to the video.
This might seem counterintuitive, but by extending human life, we might cause the end of the world. Number 4, ending the world by extending life. The World Health Organization estimates that 500 million people suffer from psychological disorders every year. The scary part is that the number has steadily increased and doesn't seem to be stopping. Some researchers believe that in the coming decades, we'll be able to double the life expectancy of humans. However, longer life also comes...
I think the thing with mental health is, I feel like, because life is, say, I think it is easier these days. And I mean that in a way of, say, 200 years ago, you literally have to do anything to try and get food. Like anything. Any job you could get, you'd be doing it. Now, there's a million different kinds of jobs that you could do. If you can't work, you can get benefits and support and blah, blah, blah. And then obviously with healthcare, it's gone better and better, so you're living longer. So there's more people on the planet, and then you get pensions. Blah, blah, blah. So because life is, as I said, it's easier now than it was a couple hundred years ago, we have more time to think. And thinking is a bad thing for us. Thinking is very bad. Because you get all in your own head, things go wrong. Yeah, but back then you didn't have time to think. You just had to do it, and then you died, and that was it. But now it's mad. It is mad. It's wild.
Mental health problems. This is why some believe that in the many years to come, it'll be mass insanity that ends the world.
Insanity,
the longer someone
that's
lives,
interesting,
the more
though.
likely they'll be to develop feelings of loneliness or a sense of despair. Having people live to be 200 years old will have all kinds of ramifications on our world. Social systems will have to change, and psychological health will need to be monitored much more closely.
Though. It depends.
As people get in.
Would you want to live to 200? Because you see these people that live to 100, 110, whatever. I mean, but most of the time, they're pretty much... They're not very well after 100. Like, they're literally, as I say, wheelchair bound, stuff like that. So, is it going to be 100 years of literally in a wheelchair? Or will you only start feeling the effects when you're like 180? Because, I mean, if you're still, like, say if you're 50 and you're still feeling like 25, and then you're 100 and you're feeling like 40, and then you're 150, you're feeling like 70, and then you're 200 and you're feeling like 100 these days, then that wouldn't be as bad. But if you're literally get to 100 and you're messed up, you're in a wheelchair, can't really do a lot for yourself, and you've got another 100 years of that. No, thank you.
Into the latter years of life. Some researchers warned that lengthening human life could overload the brain and lead to mass insanity in the older generations. Doomsday cults might pop up in order to spread a new gospel of death. The mental breakdown of society may even go as far as these cults literally trying to end the world to reclaim what they see as the normal course of a human's life. As of right now, we don't have much data on what will happen to the mind if a person exceeds 100 years old, and we have no data on what will happen if someone reaches 200 years old.
That's
Maybe
fair.
a sense of calmness washes over them, or perhaps they become paranoid and hell-bent on ending the world. The next world-ending scenario is probably one you've thought about a lot recently. Number 3. Nuclear war and everything that comes with it. Nuclear war tends to be in the back of everyone's mind when we think of doomsday scenarios, and for a good reason. It feels like the world is constantly on the brink of nuclear war, as countries disagree with one another and ruthless dictators threaten to use nukes.
I wonder who that is.
Nuclear war is not something that would only affect the countries involved, but would likely wipe out most of life on Earth.
Yeah, the size of the bombs are ridiculous.
It obliterates everything within 2 to 3 miles. There's somewhere around 12,500 nukes on the planet right now, which is more than enough to throw the Earth into a nuclear winter.
Great!
The nuke goes off
Lovely.
and kicks up debris and smoke into the atmosphere that can block out the sun.
Yeah.
It's estimated that if 4,000 nuclear devices were detonated at the same time, which is only a third of the total supply on Earth, the planet could be thrown into nuclear winter for years. This means that a lot of sunlight will be blocked from reaching the surface. Plants will die without their main energy source, which will cause a ripple effect through the ecosystems, causing mass extinctions. There would definitely be some extremophiles that would survive, but for most species, death would be on the horizon.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of a nuclear war, it's estimated that the global temperature would decrease by around 8 degrees Celsius or 46 degrees Fahrenheit. And this doesn't take into consideration the massive amounts of radiation that would spread across the globe, causing cancer and other disease. If nuclear war ever broke out, there would be
we're finished, aren't we? We're finished.
Number 2. World-ending supervolcanic eruption.
Right,
There
okay,
are
so like
around
Yellowstone
20
and things
known
like that, isn't it?
supervolcanoes on planet Earth. Each one has the potential to cause massive amounts of death and destruction.
Don't we need like a couple
And
though? Don't we need like a couple to go off at the same
these
time?
volcanoes will erupt, but when. The buildup of pressure in supervolcanoes will inevitably end in a massive explosion that spews lava, chemicals, and huge quantities of dust and dirt into the atmosphere. Around 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano called Mount Toba erupted in the Barisan Mountains in north-central Sumatra, Indonesia. The eruption deposited so much debris into the atmosphere that it's hypothesized the Earth's global temperature decreased by several degrees Celsius.
I think I've watched a video about this before.
Extinction of many different plants and animals as the climates rapidly changed. Scientists theorize that supervolcanoes erupt every 17,000 years or so.
Lovely stuff.
The last eruption is believed to have occurred around 26,500 years
We're
ago.
due then. We're so due.
This means we are overdue.
Yeah.
Obviously, supervolcanoes don't wipe out all life on Earth since we're still here,
Yeah.
but they can have disastrous consequences. And we have no idea how a massive eruption would disrupt the world we live in today.
Oh yeah, it'd mess it up. It would mess it up.
That there's no way to predict them and plan ahead. There may
Surely,
be indications
yeah, I was
that
gonna say
eruption could occur,
indications would.
but by the time signs begin to show, it'll be too late.
Okay,
Something
fair.
to keep in mind is that around 251.9 million years ago, a supervolcano erupted in Siberia. It caused what's known as the Permian-Jurassic extinction. At this point in Earth's history, 95% of all life was wiped out.
Ooh.
So it isn't hard to imagine that a slightly larger supervolcano might be able to finish the job of wiping out all life on Earth. When a supervolcano erupts, it spews debris.
Because don't they reckon it was like a big meteor and a supervolcano at the same time that caused the dinosaurs to go
is
extinct?
torn apart, and harmful radiation bombards the planet. Basically, whatever isn't destroyed by the initial eruption will be devastated by the side effects of the supervolcano. But the scariest and one of the most likely doomsday scenarios comes from the heavens. Number 1, asteroid Armageddon. You've seen it in movies and on TV shows.
It's alright, Bruce Willis will
Giant
save us.
space rock
Bruce
comes
Willis, well,
hurtling
maybe not
toward Earth
anymore.
and threatens the
Unfortunately.
entire world.
Poor guy.
Unfortunately for us, in reality, this world-ending scenario is all too real. Like supervolcanoes, it's just a matter of time before an asteroid strikes the Earth.
Yeah, but we can
Agencies try
disrupt this
desperately
one
to
now. I'm sure we
identify
can.
and track any asteroid that might cross paths with the Earth, but there's no way we can find them all. And since the universe is filled with chaos, you never know when an asteroid will be knocked off its current trajectory and plummet toward the Earth. Tiny meteorites slam into Earth's atmosphere all the time, creating what we call shooting stars. Some of these meteorites make it to Earth, but they're too small to cause any real damage. However,
usually
a larger
they're pebble
space
size,
rock
aren't
many miles across would be a different story. As of right now, we have no way to deflect an incoming asteroid unless we have many years to plan for it.
Well,
If
exactly,
we
we
found
have
out
years.
tomorrow that an asteroid was on an impact course with Earth, there would not be enough time to stop it. When the asteroid hit our
Yeah,
planet,
it'd be a bit late at that
it
point,
released an
wouldn't
unfathomable amount of energy, vaporizing anything in the vicinity. The impact would kick up billions of tons of debris into the atmosphere that would coat the planet's atmosphere and block the sun. This would send the Earth into an ice age.
It's always an ice
that
age.
could
It's always a
last for
bloody ice
decades.
age.
If the asteroid's large enough, the energy generated by the impact could cause wildfires to spread across the globe, which would produce enough smoke and smother most of life on the planet. As of right now, astronomers think there are somewhere around 100,000 asteroids in the Kuiper Belt that sits just outside our solar system that are over 50 miles in diameter. Any of these space
Holy
rocks
hell.
would be enough to wipe out pretty much all life on Earth if they slammed into the planet. Between the massive explosion and resulting decimation of the landscape, along with an ice age that would freeze the planet for thousands of years, a large asteroid impact is one of the most insane ways the world could end.
That's true.
Now watch events that will cause the end of the world, or check out
Events?
insane ways people are preparing.
Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that literally... I feel like that video is literally the same thing, but there you go. There you go, that was 12 wild ways that the Earth can end, and yeah, fair. Can't argue with them, to be honest. They are pretty nuts, but very possible at the same time, which is fun. So don't worry about life. Don't worry about it. You might as well just go out, live your best life, do what you want, because we're all going to die anyway. Alright, cheers.